Our IT manager decided passwords were too complicated for humans, so he made everyone use 1234 across all systems. When the breach happened, he blamed us for not writing it down securely. Took 3 weeks of meetings before he realized what he'd done. Meanwhile, he's already promoted to director level. The company lost 2 clients over that fiasco. Nobody even bothered documenting it officially. Picture this. We had to wait 8 months for a simple monitor upgrade while our manager attended conference after conference in Bali. The justification was always that he needed to research solutions. Meanwhile, we're squinting at 1024x768 screens. When we finally got new monitors, they were the cheapest Dell ones available because his budget got slashed. He still took monthly trips though. During a critical server outage, the IT lead disabled our backup systems because he thought they were wasting disk space. We didn't discover this until files started disappearing. His solution was to ask everyone to just remember what they were working on. The recovery took 6 days and cost the company a fortune. He got a performance review but somehow kept his job. This one's wild. Our manager implemented a policy where every email had to be reviewed by him before sending. Yes, every email. It took 45 minutes to send a single message. When someone complained, he said we had nothing to hide. Tickets piled up, deadlines got missed, but the email policy stayed. 3 people quit because of it. One time my manager decided cloud storage was for lazy people, so he banned it company-wide. Everyone had to use USB drives instead. Half the team lost their work when drives got corrupted. His response was to blame us for not backing up our backups. The irony of IT management never saving anything properly was completely lost on him. We reported a critical security vulnerability, and our manager literally said he would think about it and get back to us in 6 months. A hacker didn't wait that long. They got in 2 weeks later through that exact hole. Still, he somehow turned it around and blamed the security team for not testing properly. My IT manager once spent the entire quarterly budget on a coffee machine for his office instead of fixing our network infrastructure. When the network collapsed during peak hours, he wasn't even around because he was at a vendor meeting. The CEO found out about the coffee machine incident. That was awkward. There's this thing where our manager insists all passwords must be exactly 8 characters with no complexity. When the auditors came, he got written up. His fix was to tell everyone to use fake passwords for the audit and then change them back after. Somehow he's still managing people. This guy hired his roommate as a junior IT person without any technical skills or interview process. The roommate spent 3 months looking at YouTube tutorials while getting paid. When they finally fired him, the manager demanded to know why we were being so harsh. He then rehired him as a contractor at triple the rate. Our network went down for 2 days because the manager reset the wrong server during maintenance. He had zero documentation about what anything did. When we asked why he didn't check before touching critical systems, he said documentation was unnecessary because he had everything memorized. He definitely did not. The funniest part was when this manager sent a company-wide email explaining cybersecurity while spelling it as cybersecurity, and subsecurity, all in the same message. Then he created a security policy that was basically word salad. We had to follow it anyway because questioning him meant conflict. My manager's solution to slow internet speeds was to tell people to complain less and work faster. When the bandwidth issue was finally traced to his personal 4K streaming habit during work hours, he justified it as staying informed. The man was watching reality TV. The internet stayed slow because upgrading it might interfere with his entertainment. This absolute legend decided to replace all our keyboards with mechanical ones because he liked the clicking sound. Turns out half the company has sensory issues or focus problems with that noise. When people asked to switch back, he said they were just not adapting to progress. Productivity dropped like crazy, but the clicking continued. Our IT manager had a policy where you needed written approval just to install Notepad. The process took 2 weeks and 3 forms. Meanwhile, he's installing random software on his personal laptop that he brought to the office. When it caught a virus, it nearly took down our network. His fix was to tell it to just be more careful. There's this manager who believes Windows updates are a conspiracy to slow down computers. He disabled all automatic updates across the network and never manually updates anything. Our systems are running patches from 2019. Every security audit is just him arguing with the auditors about his theories. We had zero disaster recovery plan until the day our main server room flooded. During the crisis, the manager kept asking for reports instead of actual solutions. He wanted everything in PowerPoint format while data was literally vanishing. By the time anyone could act, we'd lost months of work that wasn't on the cloud because he banned cloud storage. This particular genius decided that printing policies were too complicated, so he just told everyone to print as much as they want. Paper bills tripled. When leadership got the invoice, guess whose budget got cut? Not the manager's, obviously. He just told us to be more responsible with our printing. I watched our manager buy the most expensive HVAC solution for the server room but completely ignore the outdated switch that was causing network slowdowns. When I asked about the server equipment, he said that could wait. The switch failed a month later and took down everything for a day. He blamed the manufacturer for not warning him. This mad lad once decided to reorganize the entire IT infrastructure without telling anyone. He just started unplugging things and moving them around. When systems went down, he acted surprised that people hadn't documented his intentions. The reorganization actually made things worse, but he refused to admit it. Our manager's idea of employee development was forwarding us spam emails about free online courses. When we asked for actual training budget, he said we should learn on our own time. Meanwhile, he's attending 5-star conferences quarterly. The skill gap just kept growing while he pretended everything was fine. This manager implemented a policy where all tickets had to be submitted in a specific Excel format he created. The format was unnecessarily complex with hidden columns and locked sections. Half the tickets got rejected for formatting issues. He refused to use actual ticketing software because he wanted complete control. We found out that our manager was running a side consulting business and billing his time as company work. When confronted, he said it was networking for the company. The CEO believed him. Meanwhile, actual work was getting deprioritized while he handled client calls during business hours. Nobody had the guts to push back further. There was this one time where the manager decided we didn't need a system administrator because he could handle everything. He absolutely could not. His fixes broke more things than they repaired. When systems failed, he'd disappear for hours claiming to be in important meetings. The real admin work just piled up. Our manager once told us that cybersecurity was overblown and that hackers were mostly myths. A month later, we got hit with ransomware. His response was to pay the ransom immediately without telling anyone. When the CEO found out, there was chaos. He kept his job, though, somehow. This particular manager believed that expensive equipment wasn't necessary, so he'd salvage old computers from the trash and deploy them to the team. They'd fail within weeks, but he'd just find more trash computers. A perfectly working laptop in the corner was for his personal use, though, that one he kept pristine. We had a situation where the manager attended a one-day workshop on agile methodology and came back convinced he was an expert. He immediately tried to implement his own version across the entire IT department. It was agile in name only and created complete chaos. When people pushed back, he accused them of resisting change. This genius once decided that having backups was paranoid and a waste of money. When ransomware hit, all our data encrypted in seconds. The recovery cost was astronomical and took weeks. He still refused to admit the backup policy was necessary, claiming it was just bad luck that it happened right then. Our manager's communication style was leaving cryptic voice messages instead of emails. Nobody could understand his instructions. When things went wrong, he'd claim he was crystal clear. Documentation was basically impossible because nothing was ever written down. It's like playing telephone with critical infrastructure. There's this manager who would change his mind about system architecture every 3 months after reading a blog post. We'd spend weeks implementing changes only for him to read something else and want to switch back. Nothing was ever fully implemented, and the technical debt just accumulated endlessly. I worked under a manager who believed that night shifts and weekends weren't necessary for IT support. When systems crashed at midnight, we'd have to wait until morning for him to authorize fixes. The justification was that most users were asleep anyway. The lost productivity data never seemed to reach his desk. This legend once told us that monitoring tools were spyware on the company systems and banned them. So we had zero visibility into what was actually happening on the network. When performance tanked, we were flying blind trying to fix things. He still insisted his decision was correct even as users complained daily. Our manager's approach to vendor management was getting free meals and golf trips, then automatically approving all their invoices without review. The bills were absolutely inflated, but nobody checked them. When audit season came, there were questions, but he simply buried the issue with complicated explanations. There's a manager who once decided to restart all servers during business hours for an update he could have scheduled for the weekend. When everything went down mid-morning, he wasn't available because he was in a massage appointment. By the time he got back, 3 hours had passed and clients were furious. He got a verbal warning that changed nothing. This particular individual believed that storing passwords in plain text in a shared spreadsheet was fine. When I mentioned security, he said if people were trustworthy, we wouldn't need encryption. Multiple people left their jobs partly because of how unsafe everything felt. He never updated that spreadsheet policy. Our manager once hired a consultant for $200,000 to tell us exactly what we'd been recommending for 2 years. When we pointed this out, he said the consultant provided valuable external perspective. The consultant's recommendations were implemented identically to what we'd proposed, while our advice kept getting dismissed as biased.